I'm just going to emphasize some of the really exciting things that that you should take into account when we talk about stuff like that, right? So Buck and I talk, and we sort of, we just launched LifePak.
Yeah.
Have we not?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you may not realize that LifePak, we haven't really reformulated. That's not even the right word. Reformulated LifePak for a long time, right? And that's because we were waiting for the science to mature and because we knew the science was coming, but we just didn't have the data.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, yet. So now that we are finally able to launch this LifePak. And just to remind you, I mean, what we have ever done, what we have done, right? So many of you might have already gotten a box of it, and you took the sachet. It's still the sachet. It's very good. And you see they're tablets now. Okay? They're very little tablets. It's almost like a mint, if you will, right? So, and one of the reasons that we wanted to go into that dosage form, I call it, is because I think you'll find it is much easier for your new customers and whoever to take that particular natural supplement.
Yeah.
It's much smaller than a capsule, isn't it, Buck?
It is. It's much smaller. And if you were to take, and there's one a day instead of 2 packets a day. Yeah. So it's a great upgrade, in my opinion. Now, I want to back up a little bit.
Yes.
And, we've got your book here.
Yep.
And this is the updated version of it. And so I wanted to hear from you, your perspective on why do we age? Like, what causes aging in the body?
Okay.
And let's talk about that first, and then talk about how elements help support an aging body.
Yeah. No, that's a great question, Buck. And simply put, when I look at aging, right, and obviously there have been a lot of science done on it and so on to understand how we age and so on. And there are lots of experiments, lots of different investigators, conducting studies on it. But fundamentally, when I distill all these things down, it comes to something, I'm a simple kind of guy. I like to know, what is it driving at? Essentially, aging is a simple balance. I almost look at it as a seesaw. A seesaw rests on the fulcrum in the middle, right? And if they're perfectly balanced, then it's great. So if I put aging in the middle, it's called a fulcrum, and when it gets out of balance, on one side is tissue repair. Your body is constantly breaking down.
Yeah.
Even when you exercise, it's all good for us. But you didn't realize, in order for your muscles to get stronger and so on, it gets damaged during exercise. Yeah. You don't see it, but there is damage there. And then on the other side is the body has this capacity to repair. So when you look at aging, just think about it as tissue damage, tissue repair. And if you have both of those processes working optimally, you have balance.
Okay, so how does LifePak then help with balance of tissue damage and tissue repair, or even the LifePak family?
Well, how does your body get healthy? What is it that really keeps your body healthy when you think about it? It's the food that we eat, isn't it? And what is food? Then I'll break that down, the food for you. There are only 2 things in food. There is the macronutrients, the carbs, the proteins, the fats. That's your basic macronutrients. And then on the other side are those things that you don't feel. Those are called the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, and so on. There are lots of other things too, okay? So you need both. If you don't have both, and once again, it's about balance now, when you take too much of the macronutrients, you know what happens. I don't have to go into that. And we might talk about that a bit later. In other words, you add on weight.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Right. So, but you have to eat. But you have to eat a very nourishing meal. And that nourishment also comes from the micronutrients. That's what LifePak is.
Yeah.
Essentially we say, look, the food is pretty obvious and all that, but these micronutrients, sometimes it's missing from our diet.
Yeah.
It's because of a variety of reasons, including how we grow and process our foods now. they're not really very nourishing.
And also, I would assume culturally, the foods that we're eating in our fast-paced lives,
Absolutely.
they don't have the micronutrients.
They
So
don't.
LifePak is not addressing the macronutrients. You're
Yeah.
not getting the fats, carbohydrates, or the
Yeah.
protein. It's addressing the lack of
Yeah.
the micronutrients that we have in our diet and our lifestyles.
Absolutely. And what is the uniqueness, okay, that we do here in New Skin, and that we also take into account, is that we also know from science that those so-called recommended daily allowance, but you're body healthy when you think about it. It's the food that we eat, isn't it? And what is food? Then I'll break that down, the food for you. There are only two things in food. There is the macronutrients, the carbs, the proteins, the fats. That's your basic macronutrients. And then on the other side are those things that you don't feel. Those are called the micronutrients. The vitamins, the minerals, and so on. There are lots of other things too, okay? So you need both. If you don't have both, and once again, it's about balance now. When you take too much of the macronutrients, you know what happens. I don't have to go into that. And we might talk about that a bit later. In other words, you add on weight.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Right. So, but you have to eat. But you have to eat a very nourishing meal. And that nourishment also comes from the micronutrients. That's what LifePak is.
Yeah.
You know, essentially we say, look, you know, the food is pretty obvious and all that, but these micronutrients, sometimes it's missing from our diet.
Yeah.
You know, it's because of a variety of reasons, including how we grow and process our foods now. They're not really very nourishing.
And also, I would assume culturally, the foods that we're eating in our fast-paced lives,
Absolutely.
they don't have the micronutrients.
They
So
don't.
LifePak is not addressing the macronutrients. You're
Yeah.
not getting the fats, carbohydrates, or the
Yeah.
protein. It's addressing the lack of the micronutrients that we have in our diet and our lifestyles.
Absolutely. And what is the uniqueness, okay, that we do here in New Skin, and that we also take into account, is that we also know from science that those so-called recommended daily allowance,
Okay.
you might want
And fewer to take.
even more benefits that you can get out of these micronutrients. And that's what we take into account with our LifePak when we formulate it, is to make sure the amount that we put in is more than you need. Not just to satisfy the RDAs, the recommended daily allowances, but also to provide you with those additional benefits.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just to recap, so we've got new form factor. It's in tablets, it's smaller, and fewer to take.
Yeah.
But we're also, one of the other benefits that we have of LifePak is that we're not following RDA. We're actually putting in more that I would assume this is all based off of, when you're looking at the research of the ingredients, this is all based off of the science.
Absolutely.
Where you get a therapeutic benefit
Yes.
from the
Indeed.
ingredients that you have in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a third one, Mike.
Okay.
You might want to remember that. So there are certain, albeit small, but nonetheless, there is a significant percentage of folks who are unable to process some of these vitamins, okay, into an active form, I call it. When you take it in a form, usually you are taking it for these people as an inactive form.
Yeah.
Okay, for most of us, we have no problem to convert that to the active form because we have all the enzymes and all the necessary biochemistry in our body to do that.
Yeah.
Some folks don't have that.
Yeah.
Well, we have overcome that now with the new LifePak.
Yeah.
Vitamin K, for example.
Yeah.
We're doing it with vitamin K2 specifically, and now everybody can get the benefits of that you can get from a vitamin K nutrient.
So it's not that these individuals, they aren't able to absorb it. They absorb less.
They absorb
And
less.
so when we have,
convert less,
They
I should
convert
say
less.
that. Yeah,
They
yeah,
convert less. So if you've got a vitamin K2, or we talk about some of the B vitamins,
Exactly.
these are formulated in a way, and some of you might have heard the word or the buzzword methylation.
Uh-huh.
And so these are methylated to
Yeah.
make sure that everybody is getting, they're able to convert them.
Yep.
And use them more efficiently.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we were able to handle, well, maybe 95%, if you will, of every consumer that who takes the LifePak. But now we're pretty close to 100%
Oh, that's
with the new LifePak.
Okay, so it sounds like we could go broad and we can say that everybody, based off of the common diet and based off of how we're growing fruits and vegetables, that they need this.
Yeah.
But my marketing mind goes to, like, if we try to sell to everyone, we sell to no one. And so you have to start looking at niches and understanding the needs and need states to be able to tell their story to them to market effectively. One of the demographics that we see right now in North America and is where I see that there is a potential need, and I want to hear your take on this, is we've got this weight loss phenomenon in North America, where individuals are using a drug called GLP-1s to reduce appetite. They're eating less. Yeah. So in eating less, they're getting less of those macronutrients, the fats, the carbohydrates, the proteins, but at the same time, they're getting less of the micronutrients.
Absolutely right, Bob.
And I've heard anecdotally that people that are on those, they are scanning lower as well. Yeah. So I'm sure I don't know. We haven't done any studies. I haven't seen any studies that show the impact of micronutrients or the, nano or LifePak, the impact that it would have on somebody using one of those. But it seems like there is definite need with this group of individuals that are using this.
Oh, absolutely, Buck. I mean, not just this group. There are certain other folks that we know that studies have been conducted, right? And that would be, you probably heard of a type of surgery for weight loss called bariatric stomach stapling and all that kind.
Yep.
Those guys are exactly also had a decrease in the amount of food that they take, right? Because the stomach is smaller now.
Yep.
So, well, unfortunately, they don't compensate for that by taking or supplementing their food with a vitamin, mineral, or some micronutrient supplement. So they suffer the same issue.
If you are in one of those camps, and I guess this could go for anybody, if you lack those micronutrients, what are some of the ways that manifests?
You get, one of the most evident one, if I go back to the GLP types of drugs and so on, would be a condition called where the muscle doesn't stay as strong as it should.
Okay, so that muscle degradation, we call it sarcopenia.
Yep,
sarcopenia, right?
Yep.
And that's sarco meaning muscle, penia is like
reduction in muscle mass. Yeah,
it's like osteopenia is the
reduction of
bone mass.
Yes.
So sarcopenia, reduction in muscle mass. And if they have the right macronutrients, that helps support maintaining that muscle mass.
Absolutely. You see, your body is a chemical engine running all the time, right? I would call it a biochemical engine. In order for your body to function, the chemistry has to happen in every cell, not just in the bone, not just in the muscle. Every tissue, literally, will require these vitamins and minerals to act as what we call cofactors to run that engine. It's almost like an additive that you put onto your gas for your car to make it, to get it up to a high octane or whatever to drive the engine. It's the same thing, right? It doesn't provide the energy, but it's actually a very important accelerant for energy production in the body. Okay? So if you look at it from that perspective, you can imagine all these folks, they will require a micronutrient supplement. There's no doubt. Yeah. There's absolutely no doubt. It's almost, in a way, I would say maybe it's an unintended consequence of the success of these particular drugs. This is God sent.
Yeah.
To the supplement folks, well, at least to the micronutrient supplements such as LifePak. Every one of them will need it.
So everybody needs LifePak in our day and age because of how we're growing our fruits and vegetables, but also our diets. But there are some segments of the population that need them even more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into some of the other products that we have, scanner certified products.
Yes.
Okay, or the PRISM certified products. One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because we're talking micronutrients,
Yes.
and the need of micronutrients, and you talked about that teeter-totter, the seesaw,
Yeah, seesaw.
and the fulcrum. And so one was tissue repair and tissue damage.
Yes.
So there's a lot of behaviors that help us, repair our bodies.
Yes.
Right. And obviously eating the right types of macronutrients are going to help with that. Let's talk about sleep.
Yes.
How does sleep work into that whole formula of tissue? I would imagine it's tissue repair.
Absolutely. Somehow the body, I've always wondered, why do we sleep, frankly? Why do we need sleep? I think a lot of research nowadays would point towards the intended result of that, if you have good and quality sleep, is that it allows the body to repair. That's fundamentally what sleep does. You guys experience it, right? Don't you? If you don't have a good night's sleep, you don't feel good.
No,
you have a hangover almost, right?
Yes,
when you wake
you're
up.
yawning all day.
Yeah.
And if you go and try to work out
Right,
or
right.
exercise, you're not able to push as hard.
Yeah, because your body is active throughout the day, and in order to be active, every cell in your body is metabolizing in a way, right? And it's not 100% efficient. You are going to generate some byproducts that you need to get rid of.
Okay.
And the only time that you're really effective in getting rid of that is when you sleep.
Okay. So sleep. We're talking about diet, and we're talking about behavior, and so we need to make sure that we're eating a healthy diet. Part of that is based off of the needs of the population. We need to have micronutrients or supplementation. Some populations need more of that. But at the same time, sleep is a big deal.
Yeah.
And we have a nighttime formula that is a great formula that would be, it doesn't necessarily have carotenoids or antioxidants in it that would increase your score, but it would have a secondary effect on your sleep to help you with that repair. And I guess to support the aging process.
Yes.
A healthy aging process.
It's one of the important elements in healthy aging. It's sleep. And don't forget, not just nighttime formula. You have Mind 360,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
That whole spectrum of products we have.
Yeah.
And if you notice, if you look at that portfolio, or I believe we have 4 products. One of them is actually addressing stress.
And how does stress impact that whole aging process?
Stress is a very interesting phenomenon for us as a human species, right? Without stress, we are going to be killed, because stress is really important for us to generate a lot more energy in our body to run away from danger, simply put, okay? But that kind of and the stress releases all kinds of chemicals, particularly hormones, that will help you to energize your body to a very high level, activate your muscle, get your heart going, getting your blood flow, and so on and so forth, get you focused to run away from danger. That's called, I think many of us would have heard about it, and that would be the fight or flee syndrome or phenomenon that we all experience. We have that. As part of our evolution, that's our defense mechanism. The problem is, and this is where it becomes subtle, but it's absolutely profound, and that is that kind of stress is acute. It goes up, and when you're away from that danger, everything gets restored to a basal level. In other words, a resting level.
Yeah.
Okay? No problem.
Yeah.
We can handle that kind of stress. The problem is, now in our way that we live and so on, we are not meant to live in densely populated places. We don't meant to get into a gridlock when we go home from work. All these things tend to get us to a level of stress that we never get out of. Frankly, here's another thing. That kind of stress, you sort of think you feel it, but you sort of let it go.
Yeah.
You don't really sort of pay much attention to it, but those things tend to build. If it persists for a long time, day after day, week after week, you get into a state of chronic stress. And that's what we're trying to address. because your level of cortisol, that's one of the steroid hormones that is being released during stress, that goes haywire, and that causes all sorts of problems.
Okay, so how does the stress, because I would imagine, though, if somebody has that chronic stress, instead of the acute, they've got the chronic stress, that leads to faster aging.
We can't sleep.
You can't sleep.
I'll give you an immediate result of that.
Okay.
Can you imagine, right? Even when we think about a certain thing, just a thing that worries us, I bet you your sleep pattern is affected.
And so when you can't sleep, as we just discussed,
Right.
your body can't repair.
Can't repair.
You can't clean out the byproducts from all of the metabolism in the cells and everything.
Yeah, it becomes almost become a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So what happens when next morning when you wake up? You get more stress.
Yeah.
You add on to the stress you already have.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then in the evening after you come back from work, oh my goodness, it's even worse. You barely can get an hour's sleep.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. So it continues. This is almost like a hamster on a wheel. It never stops. And that's why we're trying to break that cycle. That's the whole point of that stress product supplement that we have in there, is to break the cycle. Therefore, you can get into more of a virtuous cycle.
So breaking the chronic stress.
Yes.
And then you're able to sleep. Deeper sleep. is beneficial for cell repair, tissue repair.
Yeah. You don't age so quickly.
You don't age so quickly.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why they call it beauty sleep.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So
are there other areas that have a big impact on aging? If we're talking diet, we talked about sleep, exercise.
yes.
Are there other
We talk about nutrition, right?
nutrition?
Yeah.
Are there other factors that are big? If you were to look at and say, well, these correlate more with faster aging, are there any things like that we should be addressing? Or are those the main ones?
I think those are the main ones. The biggest challenge, I think, in a way, instinctively or intuitively, I think all of us realize what are the things we need to do to stay, to have healthy aging in a way. Sleep, frankly, right, guys? I mean, it's pretty obvious. I think so.
Yeah.
But we tend to forget. We need a reminder, in that sense. So, for example, on the nutrition side, really, do you really actually go out and say, okay, looking at even a salad that you eat, oh, this is a salad, where did it come from? Blah, 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 whatever. You're not going to go into that kind of investigation. So that's where the PRISM, for me, comes in, in the sense that it literally is a reminder, because it makes the invisible, I call it, the body is really invisible, to make the invisible visible for you.
Yeah.
And then over time, you can start to see. Look, all of us, we've been trained to base the state of our progress in general on numbers, right? When you were young, when you went home, your mom asked you, how did you do in school? You say, well, you're not going to say you did bad. You're going to say, I did good. Yeah, I'm teacher's pet, blah, blah, blah. What did your mom say? Most likely, show me your report card. Those are numbers.
Yeah.
She's gauging you by numbers.
Yeah.
So we've been trained that way. So I'm hoping you realize the PRISM is really, at a very minimum, is a means to an end, right? It drives you. It helps, hopefully, to help you modify your behavior.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
There was a quote that, and I'm going to mess this up, but I don't even remember who said it, but it said something to the extent of, not everything that's measured can be changed.
Yeah.
But nothing can be changed until it's measured.
There you go.
And I think this is 100% true. In fact, I believe with the S3, we had a study on this.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, maybe Yale University or something, that said that this was the S3, the scanner, was the best way to change behavior by showing people what their intake of fruits and vegetables are.
Absolutely.
And this was one of the best ways that you can actually change people's behavior on what they're eating.
And for us in New Skin, right, what we did when we collected all that data from the S3 that Buck was referring to. That's the old so-called biophotonic scanner, is that there were a lot of data. There were millions of data points. We took all that, and now in the age of AI and so on, we develop an algorithm that literally could analyze all those data points together and find some, causation. Are they linked? If you don't sleep enough, or if you don't eat, your lifestyle changes, and so on and so forth, if you smoke, blah, 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 and all that, how does that affect your nutritional status? We found that it does by the PRISM score. So the S3, we measure, we have been talking about the carotenoids, the antioxidants, but frankly, how is that really meaningful, especially if you talk to a new person, okay? I think now the PRISM, please, we have used it to translate what that means. What that means is PRISM is a nutritional monitor. It's a nutritional health monitor.
Yeah.
Okay? Now you can tell people, look, use the PRISM because of the new skin database for so long and so on. Yes, it's still measuring correct, but no, we've translated it. It now means it can actually show you where your nutritional status is.
And I'm assuming because of some of the studies that we've done. So there was a study, the Jiaotong study in China, that showed a high correlation between your score and things like fish consumption, nut consumption, obviously leafy green consumption. I can't remember what else was on the list, but they had a negative correlation with red meat consumption, sugary beverages, baked goods had a negative correlation. So these are the things that would bring down your score or correlated with a negative score. And we saw that all of those things that have healthy, healthy fats and, the full of micronutrients, those all correlated with a positive score. And so this gives us a lot more confidence in being able to say this is a nutritional health score.
Yeah, because I'm not going to sit here, okay? You're listening to me talking about clinical studies, scientific studies, blah, blah, blah. Well, they're great. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, who are you going to believe? Your own eyes, right? You're going to look at a number. In 15 seconds, you can see with the PRISM, or your customer PRISM, or whatever number, right? Seeing is really believing.
Yeah.
You get real-time feedback.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. And I've noticed, even in my own life, when I actually see the numbers, that's when I can actually go through and start making changes.
Yeah.
So tell us, what do you see the future for us being? Where do you see us going? We've got this incredible technology. Obviously, we're making some really incredible breakthroughs when it comes to supplementation and understanding how that works within the human body using artificial intelligence. Where do you see us going in the next 5 to 10 years as a company, or even as a society, now that we have this information and we're developing things that we can actually get insights into how they're impacting us and affecting us? Yeah,
okay. Well, Buck, this is not the only time we're going to tell you that we are launching new things and so on, right? I mean, you're going to get inundated fairly soon, too. At the end of the day, who are we in Nu Skin? We are an anti-aging company. Pure and simple, that's who we are. Just like say, we are UCLA or we are the Lakers. We are anti-aging. Fundamentally, that's what Nu Skin is, right? And we have this huge umbrella. Everything that we launch, whether it's on the skincare side, whether it's on the nutrition side, whether even on the IT side, that you're going to see something new and so on and so forth, whether in the form of an app and all, they're all driving, all helping you to understand, the anti-aging approach that we're taking is unique, comprehensive, and most importantly, that's something that you can duplicate. All right? So that's what it is. It's the way that New Skin is structured and configured and so on. We've always been that anti-aging company.
Yeah.
You know, we have ageLog. I mean, that's sort of almost like Intel Inside. We're powered by that and so on. And PRISM is the latest manifestation of. And as I go into the future, now that you can see what's happening, there are other things also in the body that we should be seeing.
Yeah.
And we are driving towards that.
That is a great teaser.
Okay.
And I think
I'll leave you at that.
I think that's a great note to end on. So, guys, what we've talked a little bit about today is nutrition. We've talked about specifically the micronutrients, how you can get those through the LifePak family, specifically with the new formulated LifePak. And if you're tuning in from Europe, I'm imagining that that's going to be coming to market near you soon, formulated specifically for your market. As well as we've got some other reformulations that are going to be coming down the road here in the next little bit. We talked about sleep and the impact that has on anti-aging, tissue repair. And we also talked about stress. And the impact that stress has on your ability to sleep, but also with that tissue repair and the aging process as well. And then the path going forward with us at New Skin is incredibly bright.
Yeah, it is. And I just want to add something to Buck because I need to get him to use this word. Okay. We are not reformulating. We are transforming our product.
Okay. That's perfect. Okay. So we're transforming.
Yes.
I love that.
I think it's way more the way to describe the products we're doing. We are not a Me Too company.
But what you said that I think everybody should key in on was we have LifePak has been the way that it's been for so many years while we waited for the technology to continue to improve. And that's why we went through to transform it.
Yes, right.
The way that we have. And when we see breakthroughs in technology, that's when we decide to make the transformation in some of our products. So stay tuned for more of those transformations, you guys. But Joe, any closing remarks?
No, hopefully we have shared some information, obviously, that is useful for you. And hopefully you will use that information and see where we are going, where we are now, and where the road is still. We're going to build a longer runway than what we already have.
Absolutely. So, you guys, thank you for joining us today. This has been an incredible broadcast. Once again, we've had the pleasure of having Dr. Joe Chang here with us to discuss some of the major factors that are hitting us in our world today and helping us be anti-aging, or should I say youth preservation.
Hey, okay, that's another topic. Maybe
another topic for another time. But you guys, it's been a pleasure to be with you. My name is Buck McMurray. This is Dr. Joe Chang.